Hello, hello, my friends. Today I am going to be sharing with you my top 5 spring eyeshadow palettes. Now, I love eyeshadow. Obviously, I'm not wearing it today, and I will explain in a few minutes why I'm not doing that today. But if you were to ask me of all of the steps in my makeup routine, which one is my favorite, which one excites me the most, it is eyeshadow. This video today is actually even more special because this is a collaboration with my friend Tina, Beautiful Journey. Tina and I have been following each other, gosh, probably for, well, let's see, both of our channels are about 2 to 3 years old. My channel is actually just a little bit over a year old, and I know Tina's been doing this a little bit longer than me. But she and I actually met through Jen Phelps' Facebook group, and we followed each other on Instagram, and obviously I'm subscribed to her channel as well. And I just really appreciate her content. Now, she herself is a little bit more focused on affordable beauty. My collection is a little bit more mid-range, high-end. I dabble in a little bit of drugstore, but predominantly my collection is mid-range. And so I thought that this video would be kind of fun because I'm sure that we have some different palettes to offer the masses here. So if you are coming over from Tina's channel, hi, a warm welcome. I am Katie. I am 38 years old. I like to talk about a little bit of beauty here on my channel, but I also talk about home fragrance, predominantly candles. So if at some point during this video you find yourself wanting to stick around for more of my content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I don't want this intro to be too long other than I just want to say thank you so much, Tina, for doing this collaboration with me. I really, really like her. If you have not checked out her channel, I will make sure that I have it linked in the description box down below. I will have her video linked down below, so make sure once you are done with this one to go check her out because she is just a really fun person. We both really enjoy ballet. We both enjoy performing arts, and we also love makeup. So let's go ahead and dive into this video. The first palette that I want to talk about is the Viseart, or is it Viseart? Violette Etendu palette. Now this is let me see how many shades are in here. I believe that there are 12 shades in here, and this is very much a purple lover's dream. So if you are somebody who loves purple tones, especially during this time of year, I am very seasonal. I'm just a seasonal person, I think, in general. In the springtime, I tend to gravitate towards purples, mauves, pinks, greens even. I love some of those lighter, brighter, fun colors, and this palette just spoke to me. I have had this one in my collection for about a year now. Now, this is not going to be, I would say, the most versatile palette. I mean, you're not going to get a variety of multicolored looks. This is obviously, as the name would imply, a violet or purple leaning palette. But if you are somebody who loves purple shades, this is the palette for you. The Viseart formula I find to be very easy to work with. I find that if you are somebody who, I feel like it's a formula that would work for anybody. I know that a lot of professional makeup artists use this brand, but I also find that if you are a little bit newer to makeup, I don't find this formula very intimidating. The mattes blend out very well. The shimmers go on easily. I find that the formula itself is very friendly for mature eyes. You know, like I said, I am 38 years old, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm not as old as I hope to be one day, but yeah, I just find this to be an excellent formula to work with. The looks that I have come up with, again, are always in that purple family, but sometimes they're a little bit more warm toned purple, and you can also go with a cooler toned purple. So this is one of my favorite palettes that I have been reaching for this time of year. If you are looking for a palette that might give you a little bit more variety, I would love to suggest the Tiny Marvels palette from Sydney Grace. Now, this was the collaboration palette that was done with the late Mel Thompson. She was a tremendously gifted makeup artist and fellow creator here on YouTube who passed away, unfortunately, about a year and a half ago. But this palette just is one that I feel like you initially look at it and you think, oh no, that's a lot of color, especially if you are somebody who is maybe a little bit more averse to colors. You might think, oh no, that's way too colorful for me. But hold on, let me tell you, this palette, yes, you can get some beautiful colors, colorful shades. And I like this one because unlike the the Violet palette from Viseart. This one gives you a little bit more variety in terms of colors. So you can get like a peachy tone, you can get some greens, you can get some purples in here. There's that peachy, there's even that like fun pop of gold. That color doesn't really suit me so well, but I know that if you are somebody that just really loves color, this is a great palette for you. However, you can also get some very toned down, neutral leaning looks on this. So if, say for example, you want something that's maybe a little bit more peachy but subdued, this is a great option for you. The Sydney Grace eyeshadow formula, them and Persona Cosmetics are my favorite independent brand eyeshadows. I think that they, quite frankly, can rival some of the high-end shadows, say like Pat McGrath or Natasha Denona. But I really love the versatility of this palette. It is one that I typically always wear in the springtime because, like I said, I'm very seasonal, and it can carry me well into pretty much the like late May going into summer. But the quality on Sydney Grace is just incredible, and I would highly recommend that one. Speaking of Natasha Denona, I am going to talk about one of my favorite palettes from her that I always break out in the spring. Now, this palette has a little bit of sentimental value to me because it was a Christmas gift from my husband, not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before. I am talking about the Natasha Denona Retro palette. Now, this palette is, again, a very pink, warm, well, you can get pink, purple, mauve-y type of tone. So the thing that kind of separates this one, I would say, from the Viseart one is that the Viseart is definitely more purple. This leans a little bit more mauve, and you can also get cool and warm toned looks out of this. I feel like it gives, you know, just like the Viseart one, you can get cool and warm tones out of it. This one is more on that mauve-y, slightly even like peachy tone. You can get some peachier tones out of here, slightly not super bronzy, but I really like this palette. Natasha Denona does have one of my favorite formulas. I know that it is a more expensive brand, which, you know, is everybody feels differently. Some people don't mind spending more money on eyeshadow, and other people say, you know what, there's equally as great ones at the drugstore. I would caution you if you have like a carmine allergy, or if your eyes tend to get a little bit of sensitivity to any eyeshadows that have like a red pigment in them. I would caution you with this one. I do find it's not doing it right now, but for whatever reason, last year I did go through a brief period where my allergies were acting up, and this seemed to kind of inflame them. But I've been using it this year and not having any issues at all. So I don't know what was going on with my body, but I would give you that little word of caution. One of the things that does excite me now is that Natasha Denona is now available at Ulta Beauty. And, you know, I love the rewards program at Ulta. So I find that now this, I don't want to say this is still an expensive brand, but it's made a little bit more affordable if you're looking at one of these midi-sized palettes and you maybe have some rewards points that you can cash in. You can use those on Natasha Denona. Obviously, I've been sharing with you a lot of palettes that are very colorful, but I wanted to take the time to share with you a neutral colored palette that I think goes well with this time of year. Now, hear me out. You might think neutrals, Katie. I don't really think of neutrals when I think of spring, but you got to hear my theory on this. So the palette I'm talking about is the Sydney Grace Coffee Talk palette. This is one of their 9-pan eyeshadow palettes, and the reason that I have included this neutral palette is because it leans a little bit on the cooler side. There are some warm shades in this, but most of the colors that I get out of this are actually just honestly neutral. And I think that all of us should have a good neutral palette in our wardrobe because, as you can see by the shirt that I am wearing today, sometimes I am starting to reach for bright colors in the spring. And while maybe I want to wear bright colors on my body, I don't necessarily want bright colors on my face. And so on days like today, if I were wearing makeup today, I would be reaching for this palette because it is a perfectly neutral palette. It balances out when I'm wearing color on other parts of my body. I actually kind of laugh because these other palettes that I've talked about, if I wear some of the more bold colors in those palettes, you know what the rest of my outfit's gonna be? I'm probably gonna be looking like Johnny Cash. all black. That's just kind of how I roll. So my mentality is always that I am just always looking for balance. And I find that this eyeshadow palette provides that for me. I think that it's a great one for you to have and for me to have in our spring makeup wardrobe. All right, the last eyeshadow palette that I want to share with you is, okay, first off, the packaging on this is so pretty. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's such beautiful packaging. It is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. Now this one I like because yes, there are a lot of like cooler pinky purple shades in here, but there's a couple of blue shades in here. There's a couple of little warm pinks or copper shades in here, much like the Tiny Marvels palette, how you can get a variety of looks out of it. I will say that the same thing kind of goes for this one. Now this palette does lean a little bit more cool toned in my opinion. There's a couple of warm shades in here, but if you are a cool toned person, I think that you would really, really get a lot of enjoyment out of this palette. The one thing that I will say about some of these shimmers in the Huda formula is that I typically use the NYX glitter glue before applying these shimmers, because otherwise I find some of these glittery shades can have a little bit of fallout and can get all over the face. So I would just caution you, maybe you might want to do your eyeshadow before doing your face makeup if you are going to use this palette. But I really, really like this palette. You know, lots of beautiful shades that just scream spring. Sometimes I have a hard time getting out words. But yes, it's a gorgeous eyeshadow palette. And the great thing is that I think if you sign up for Huda's website, what would that be? Huda Beauty, I guess. I picked this up last year, I want to say for like 30 or 40% off. The thing that I always want to say, you know, because I know especially if you're coming over from Tina's channel, you might be interested in more affordable beauty, or maybe even if you've already been subscribed to my channel. I mean, all of us, like I'm the same way. Like I don't want to ever pay full price for makeup. I never do. I always wait for a sale. I always try to get a lot of these products either using rewards points or at least 30% off if I can. So pretty much all of these palettes I purchased directly from the websites, with the exception of the Natasha Denona. But like I said, you can, now that they're at Ulta, you might be able to redeem some points or a prestige coupon on that. I know that the Sephora sale is also coming up. I'm not sure if that Viseart palette is sold at Sephora, but I do know that the Rose Quartz and the Natasha Denona palettes are. So if you're putting together a list for the sale coming up in a couple of weeks, you might want to keep these in mind. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room here. Obviously, for this being a beauty channel, you would think, Katie, why don't you have some makeup on? I mean, we can embrace our natural beauty, right? But we're all here because we like the fun process of putting on makeup. Well, I didn't realize it when I scheduled this collaboration to go up, but last week, I had my annual touch-up. My eyebrows are micro shaded, and I get that touched up every year, and I had that done last week. Highly recommend the process. The only thing that I forgot was that for 10 days after the procedure, I guess that's what I'd call it, for 10 days after, you are not supposed to get your eyebrows wet, which means that I cannot do my normal double cleanse routine at night, which means I don't really want to mess with trying to like get eye makeup off and not get my eyebrows wet. So yeah, for this period of time, including right now, I am not wearing any makeup just to make my life a little bit easier, trying to keep my skin nice and clean. Let me know in the comment box down below if you own any of these palettes. What is your opinion? Also, I'd be curious to know, what is your favorite eyeshadow palette that you are reaching for currently? What's giving you all of the spring vibes? If you're coming over here from Tina's channel for the first time, I would love it if you left a comment down below just saying hello to me. I would love to say hi back. I try to be very good about responding to comments. But yes, I just want to say thank you so much for spending your time with me, for coming over here and checking this video out. Make sure that you head on over to Tina's video, because I don't even know what palettes she has picked out. So I'm really curious to see what she has included in her top 5. I also apologize for the swatches, you guys. Jen Phelps is the queen of swatches. My swatches are not like hers, but I wanted to share all of those with you kind of in some natural daylight, so that way you would have an idea of what some of these shades look like. And let's see, I think that about wraps it up. I do beauty hauls, I do candle reviews, I have my weekly series on here, so I'm just a little hodgepodge of everything, and I would love for you to stick around. But if not, I just want to say, please hit that thumbs up button if you really enjoy this video. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me today, and I truly hope that you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.